Thank you all for joining us this evening here. 2013 has been a great year for Showtime. I don't think it's any exaggeration to say it's been the strongest year of boxing programming in the history of the network. And not just for the obvious reasons, you know, the signing of Floyd Mayweather to essentially the biggest individual athlete in sports, the biggest pay-per-view ever, all-time biggest gate, largest ever, the circuit distribution, theater distribution. There was a crowd of 40,000 people at the Alamo Dome, largest paid attendance to a boxing event nearly 15 years. You know, all-time highs for Showtime TV ratings. This is, as a side note, the second straight year of Showtime ratings improvements over the last 2 years. Since the end of 2011 when I started, Showtime ratings are up nearly 60%, which, even if I say so myself, is something that we're obviously very happy about. But there's also the not so obvious reasons. You know, we set together with Goldenboy, our event set the record for the biggest gate of a Barclays event back in April for Garcia versus Judah. Then we set the record again 2 months later with Malinaji and Avery Broner. We've got, you know, under the radar, amazing fights. Maidana versus Lopez, Stuff Up Center, largest gate ever, largest gate attendance ever for a Stuff Up event. And probably, my money, the fight of the year, Figueroa versus Apollo, which came out of nowhere. And it just shows the commitment that we have to make in the fights. We, Goldenboy and Showtime, are extremely proud of what we've done this year because we feel like we did it the right way. No mismatches, no appearance fights, just really competitive, tough fights. And that was really my goal when I started at Showtime nearly 2 years ago. It was the best fighters, the biggest fights, the meaningful matchups. And I've got to thank Richard and Goldenboy for allowing that to happen, because without the cooperation of the promoters committed to quality fights, then those goals don't happen. And I especially have to thank all of the fighters who've been fighting on Showtime this year, because they're the ones who have been willing to step up and take difficult fights after difficult fights, you know, without breaks. When we get to a little bit of our part in the wall, I'll point out a couple of those in particular. Richard and I were sitting around talking and trying to figure out how we were going to celebrate this momentous year, you know, and really acknowledge what had been accomplished this year. And we came up with a plan that's actually, we believe, is an early holiday gift to the fans. We reconfigured our boxing schedule, many of you know by now. But we took essentially what was 3 shows and we were turning them into 2 back-to-back quadruple headers, at least 3 championship fights on each one. The second one has 4 championship fights now. And it's going to be back-to-back, the 2 biggest back-to-back events that we've seen in quite a while. So I'm going to go through the lineup here. December 7th at Barclays Center, that is still being headlined by Zab Judah and Paulie Malinaji. We've added now consolidation of the November 30th card. We've got 3 title fights on the undercard. Devin Alexander taking on Sean Porter. It's a welterweight world title. Arislandi Lara versus Austin Trout. It's in a row for the welterweight title. Saki Obika and Anthony Durrell for the WBC Super Middleweight Championship. So you've got the Battle of Brooklyn with 3 world title fights underneath. And again, this fits in the model. If you look at Austin Trout, for example, I want to acknowledge him. Austin is coming off of 2 back-to-back fights with Miguel Cotto and then with Canelo Alvarez. And what does he get as a thank you? It's not a break. Like you said, we match the fighters up, and you know this is Arislandi Lara is as tough as the last 2 fights he's had. But that's the commitment that our promotional partner Goldenboy has made. That's the commitment the fighters have made. Those are the types of fights that we like to see. Then the big change on December 14th. Of course, all of you know we had a pay-per-view card originally contemplated on December 14th. We still have a pay-per-view event. It's just we're charging nothing. This event is now going on Showtime. It's going to be produced just like a pay-per-view. It's going to be a quadruple header. It's going to have its own all-access. It's still going to be headlined by Adrian Broner and Marcus Mangano. One of the most exciting fights that we haven't already done this year. Added to that card will be another war. Keith Thurman and Cesar Ross. I think we're going to let the referee stay at home for that one. Those guys will just walk to the middle of the ring and start punching. Leo Santa Cruz, one of the young fighters who really made a name for himself over the last year and a half. He will be defending his world title against Cesar Seda. Also on the card, Beirut Shumanov versus Tomas Kovas. It's the World Light Heavyweight Championship. And finally, Victor Ortiz will be returning to action in that fight. He will be taking on Alfonso Gomez in his first fight in quite some time. So again, on that, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, right.
The more the merrier.
Right. So on that one, with the exception of Victor Ortiz, who's coming back after 18 months off and doing a good job. 4 world title fights, pay-per-view worthy production. I don't think there's any question that this is a pay-per-view quality card. We have made some hard decisions. We tightened the belt. We canceled our Christmas party for the year, and we're giving fans an early holiday gift by putting this on Showtime and letting this off. It really deserves to be seen. And I've got to thank my promotional partner. There were some financial sacrifices that had to be made all around. But Richard, Mike, and I have committed to putting on the best fights on the network whenever possible.
Richard Lem can take off his hat, pass it around to you. No, this is really quite amazing. I mean, this is, and I think that the broader pay-per-view is going to have a million homes now. And I think that the broader pay-per-view is going to be somewhere in the 300,000, 170,000. To be able to put that card together, pretty much, with Broner, Maidana, Thurman, Ross, Leo Seda, and then Shumanov and Victor Ortiz, it's clear it's a pay-per-view card. And I do not remember in the history that we've been promoting that there was any live network card with that kind of lineup. And I think it very much shows the commitment Showtime has, and I want to thank Steven, Matt Blank, particularly as well, Leslie Mundus, the CEO, Chairman and CEO of CBS, the territory, who has a strong commitment to the sport, and first and foremost is a fan of the sport, goes to the fights, enjoys it, takes his friends and his family there, and I'm just thrilled to be able to visit with partners like that, and for them to be able to come up at the end of the year. You can just imagine the necessary funds to do that is absolutely spectacular. And it's not that we really canceled that any of the guys is not going to be busy because the Devon is on the Barclay card, so we just rearranged everything. And I think this is a one-two punch. Thank you to the fight fans on behalf of Showtime, on behalf of Goldenboy. It has been an absolutely spectacular year.
Now this fight will not be in Vegas.
No, this fight will be at the Alamo Dome, at the big setup at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio on December the 14th. San Antonio is excited or thrilled to have this fight back. San Antonio has become over the past 12, 18 months for us like home away from home. Tremendous fight fans there, and I know they're going to be embracing one of the greatest cards, the most action-packed cards we have ever put together.
Steven, how much did the success of the fight contribute to?
It really it was unrelated, to be honest. We just none of us were completely thrilled with putting that fight on. We really thought that Broner, he is a star, can benefit from the widest possible exposure still even at this point. So we will see Adrian Broner on pay-per-view in the very near future. That's a financial reality. But right now we're just happy that we could find enough quarters in the couches to together this event back on Showtime Network?
Mark McCarty, who actually approached Broder, who is the head of Indie Man, who's distributing all the cable industry. He approached me and Adrian with our last fight at the Barclays Center, and he said that he feels that Adrian Broder is ready to pay-per-view. And so when we informed them yesterday that we were going not to do pay-per-view, they were quite disappointed. I'm quite disappointed because they were always looking at not pay-per-view in December. But I think this is really the best for Adrian, the best for the fight fans, the best for everyone. If that card, the opportunity to be watched by as many people as possible.
The shows both at regular 9 p.m. start time?
More likely with a quadruple header, we're probably going to be starting slightly earlier, probably 8 if we start. That's not for sure, so I think that's my preference. It will be one of those will be a 3. Which one? We're still working on it. One of the 14 for sure.
If you would name the opponents again for Santa Cruz, Shumanov, and 14.
Cesar Seda for Rio Santa Cruz, Tomas Kovacs for Benjamin Shumanov, and Alfonso Gomez for Victor Ortiz. Shumanov is a world title fight, so we'll see.
They'll arm wrestle for it.
We have a question from the phone. Go ahead, Steve.
Yep. Hi.
Guys, I'm just wondering, did you still want to emphasize that Showtime had enough room in their budget? Also, the other question for both of you guys, how much do you guys kick around the possibility that as good as Broner McDonough is, that right now, neither guy or this fight really isn't something that you wanted to do on pay-per-view?
I'll tell you, I'll take, maybe we'll both take the second one first. The real hesitation on the pay-per-view, to the extent that we had hesitation, was just the time of the year. We ran out of time in the calendar. I think any other time of the year, this does 200, 300,000 pay-per-view is easy. It's a massive fight. It's the best matchup for Broner right now. So it was unfortunate scheduling the calendar. That's really the only thing that caused us to be at all hesitant.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and yes, you're right. As it relates to the money, I know that your competitors even were like sending around memos saying that you're shocked, you're whatever, and that you are out of money, and look how stupid those guys are at Showtime spending all the money and they have nothing left. Well, nothing left. It's pretty good. December 7th, December 14th. I would say that Broner Maidana is without any question, the best TV fight on live TV right now, from a matchup point of view, but from a significance for the sport, from an impact it has on the sport as well. This is as good as it comes. I cannot imagine a better live fight than Broner against him. And then,
Did Jorge Melendez in essence take himself out of this particular
yes, he did, and so we moved on. We're going to be sitting down with Alfredo and planning to do something probably in January, maybe from Los Angeles, with Alfredo and Julio, and we have Molina as well, the 154-pound IBF world champion. So we're going to see what's going to happen, what's going to be happening with him.
Yeah, and back to Steve, your previous question. I'm certainly aware of sort of the speculation, the rumors going around about, I think there's really two things. One, Showtime was out of money, and two, even more strangely, that we have put all our best talent already on the pay-per-view and we didn't have anybody meaningful to fight for the rest of the year. I was aware of those rumors, the speculation, and I know what the source of those was. We were patient. We have a patient scheduling approach, We worked this out. This is the best case scenario. And as you can see, our talent pool is very deep. There's more than enough talent to do these two cards.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Steve.
They have the budget money for this coming out of next year's budget.
Financially, it couldn't work that way. It's this year's budget.
And Gulo Molina, would that be a matchup against each other or just throwing them back?
Well, that could be a matchup. I'm going to be meeting as well with next week with Canelo Alvarez, and then I'm going to be meeting with Miguel Cotto as well to see what the possibilities and what the opportunities are. But the fact is, I anticipate that within the next few days, within the next week, I'll be announcing when Canelo will be fighting next. And then we'll see who is out there. And there is a lot of names for Canelo. If it's not a Cotto, it could be a Molina, it could be an Angulo. I mean, there's plenty of names. It could be the winner of Lara Paul fight. So there's plenty of opportunities. But I think Molina certainly is going to be fighting sometime in the beginning of the year.
We have a question from John Whistler. John, go ahead.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, John.
Hey, why moving from Vegas? Why San Antonio?
Well, you have a very convincing co-promoter there with Jesse James Lecha and with Mike Bata. They really wanted to bring a big fight to San Antonio again. As you know, we were planning on doing November 30th in San Antonio, so we started having conversations, and he's been pitching us. He really wanted the pay-per-view for a long time, and so finally we said, okay, if we're going to eliminate November 30th, why don't we keep an event in San Antonio, which I felt was important. And so the logical one was to do December 14th from San Antonio.
I see. Okay.
And so the San Antonio fight fans really have...
Vegas in the first place.
Well, because I felt, when we were planning on being on November 30th in San Antonio, I didn't want to go twice back to San Antonio, so I was looking at a place for Adrian, and I felt that Las Vegas, and I still feel that Adrian Broner will become and will be a Las Vegas headliner. But when we eliminated November 30th, then obviously I really feel that's with what San Antonio has done this year with the 40,000 people there with Canelo, and I just felt that this was the right thing to do for San Antonio as well, not just to cancel November 30th, but reward San Antonio with an even bigger event. And when Mike told us that the Alamo Dome is available, he was really pushing for that, and we said, okay, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard, you said that you will be sitting down with Miguel Cotto in his last fight with Delvin Rodriguez in the post-fight press conference. He made it clear that if a Canelo Alvarez fight between himself were to take place, that you would have to sit down with Top Rank. Is this a sign that you're willing to do business with him and you're going to attempt to?
No. No. There's nobody from Top Rank going to be sitting in that meeting. If Miguel Cotto wants to fight, no problem, but it will have to be without Top Rank.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Any closing comments?
Excellent. Do you want to do, really is...
Again, I want to thank Richard for his help in consolidating this card, because this is really the right way to end a year that has been such a positive for all of us. And again, it's a card across the board. Good matchups, very competitive fights, and it's going to be all action. So we're very pleased that we were able to make these accommodations and work it out the way we did.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. And again, thank you all as well for your support and your interest throughout the year. It has been a great year for boxing, and I think what we're going to deliver here on the 7th and the 14th, the 1-2 punch, is a fitting way to end a great year for boxing 2013. Thank you.